I wish I could start this thing like Buckminster Fuller always does his talks. And you all have heard of him, I'm sure, probably one of the greatest geniuses of our time, and revered by architects everywhere. And he starts his talk out by saying, "Oh, I don't see why you asked me here, and I'm not fit to do this, and I'm really not very smart, and my folks didn't think I'd ever amount to anything, and I didn't do well in school, and they kicked me out of Harvard, and I've been fumbling around ever since." And he goes on with that for quite a while. And then his voice starts to speed up, and he gets on another track about the wonderful things he has done, and he talks at 100 miles an hour for 3 hours until the audience is completely exhausted. And you've heard him. It's one of the most astonishing performances I've ever heard. I wish I could do that, but I can't. Now, I've been asked to talk about architecture and about what I think about it, and I will say that I haven't been a disciple of anyone. I've known Mies well. I knew Corbu slightly. I think I've known most of those who are celebrated practitioners, including Frank Lloyd Wright. Only 18 of us recommended him for the award, the early award for the American Institute of Architects. The officers were frightened. They thought he would probably destroy the meeting by criticizing everyone. So they asked those of us who had perpetrated this to sit up in front where we could argue with him if the time came. And each of us were given a subject which they thought he might use. He sat at the front table, and I sat over just one side, and he was boiling, and his wife kept saying, "Now Frank, now Frank, now Frank." She was a Bulgarian, and finally, when he received this award, all he had to offer was, "Well, it's about time." And that was it. And this relieved everyone. Now, one interesting thing about the foreign architects who go by various names to you, and this fellow, I'm drawn on the board on a bicycle, and he looked like that, leaving a Paris cafe the last time I saw him. And when he left and went down the street, that was he. He's about that high and about that thin. And he wore a long coat, which usually bellowed out behind him. Now, he went by the name of Corbu, his name Corbusier, but that was not his true name. His name was Jeanneret. Corbusier means the crow-like one. He dressed in black to look like a crow, and he was tall and skinny, and he perpetuated that idea. Now, European architects go by those nicknames, or whatever you want to call them, and are very proud of them. Now, Mies, whose name was really Mies, went by the name of Andro, which was the name of an ancient ancestor of his, or at least one which he thought was his ancestor. And, as I say, his true name was Mies, and he gloried, however, in the rest of the name. Now, Americans, for some reason or other, never quite got that crazy, but it's an interesting fact about architects.